Does anyone have a question they would like to raise? You know, people often seem to get impatient with themselves and, you know, please, Lisa, try to sit up. Try to sit up. People, you know, often get impatient with themselves. And we live in a world where everything has to be instantaneous. And, you know, throughout history, nothing real is ever instantaneous. It has to be built, it has to be developed, you know, it has to be crafted, you know, and a spiritual life is no different. You know, I always compare, it's like a good bottle of wine, you know, you need time in order for that bouquet, you know, to truly flower. And we're like a good bottle of wine, except there's so much impatience about things manifesting that we lose the consciousness, we lose touch of the reality that anything of any value has to take time. We have to have patience, we have to develop it, we have to overcome all of the obstacles between ourselves and whatever the end goal is. So, you know, I'm just saying this because in my life, I have come across so much impatience. You know, people think that just because they get up in the morning, they're going to be spiritually enlightened, and it doesn't happen that way. It happens over time, happens over really profound inner work, it happens over transformation. And, you know, that reality has to really sink in to a human being. And they have to finally understand that the work itself, being able to do the work itself over a period of time, is an absolute blessing. Because so many people work over a lifetime and they literally, you know, all they do is go to the grave. This work is truly a work of connecting with God, connecting with higher energy, connecting with what's infinite in the universe, being able to live with that spirit as we get closer and closer to it. So we need to have patience, because without patience, I mean, if you know, on the most basic level, if you want to be a cook, you got to learn about food. If you want to be a gourmet cook, you've got to learn about food, about herbs, about organic, non-organic, what works, what foods work. I mean, whatever it is, you've got to truly develop consciousness of this over time. And it's an organic process of learning to where it becomes integral to our everyday life and we're capable of doing it. Not because we read about it in a book and think about it, and then we try to do it, and it never quite works out. Spiritual life is no different. It's organic. You take it step by step, and you build an inner life that has nothing to do with intellectual understanding and everything to do with living experience. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
I wondered if you'd speak about what you feel hate is.
I think hate is a mirror image of oneself. You can't hate other people unless you hate yourself, unless you're angry at yourself, unless you live in a world where perfection is the key to everyday life and we're all imperfect. Because we're imperfect, we wind up hating ourselves. And then that hate manifests in the way we treat other people. You know, without the hating of oneself, without the, having to beat oneself up and find all of that insecurity and that we are the victim of life and we hate life and all the injustice in the world and et cetera. Without that, if we had an open heart when we looked at everything, we no longer hate life. It becomes our teacher. I have said this 1,000 times. We learn how to build ourselves instead of striking out at life with hatred. How can all the madness going on in the world today, and there is, my God, I maybe once a day look at the news and it's like something scary. But how can all that madness teach me what I have to do to work inside myself so that I can live a life full of unconditional love? How can I learn how not to do the exact opposite of what I truly need and want to live with inside myself? So again, it truly is the way you look at the world. And I'm not saying this is easy because there's so much insanity in this world. In fact, I can't, look, I hardly can remember when it's been crazier. It's really crazy today. I don't really have memories of World War II, certainly it's been even crazier. I can't imagine the media reporting on World War II, what it would be like. So what I'm saying really is very simple. If you don't hate yourself, if you're not angry at yourself, if you can find joy and love in your heart, and you're deeply grateful for the life you're given, you will never hate anybody else. I don't care what they do to you. That's the test. And it's not an easy test because people do a lot of awful things to all of us. I have people doing awful things to me now. And I had a psychic do a reading for me, telling me you've got to do these kind of exercises in order to transform what is going on, so that it doesn't affect you in a negative way. And my job is to transform it, not to be angry at it. And I've learned in my life, the only way to truly get free of any situation is to forgive people, to forgive yourself. The Buddha spoke about this. Christ spoke about this. Every great being in the history of the world spoke about this kind of thing. I'm not saying that I'm a great being. I certainly don't compare myself to the Buddha. But somewhere along the path of my life, I learned that forgiveness is the only path forward. I hope that's clear, because then whatever happens to you is your guru, it's your teacher. So you bow to it. Thank you. What am I learning in this situation? And frankly, in life, we will learn a lot of forgiveness. So much bullshit happens to everybody, that we will learn truly how to forgive, because otherwise we never can go on. We are stuck. Does anyone else have a question? Great question, Alicia, really.
Stuart?
Yes, Larry.
So in that vein, it's because of everything going on in the world right now, it appears people around me are being tested even more. I'm just seeing more people in my life sharing with me their challenges. I mean, do you see that as it's always been going on, or is there an escalation of the personal challenges?
You know, Larry, this is the moment we live in. And whatever moment you live in, the tests and the challenges are going to be extraordinary. As I said, I can't imagine. I mean, look, I was an infant during World War II, you know, and I can't imagine what it was like to live through that insanity. I can't imagine what it was like. I can't imagine, you know, what it was like to live in Vietnam during the Vietnam. I remember what it was like to live in this country. There was so much violence, so much anger, so much rebellion. People marching in the streets like they're marching in the streets today about this abortion stuff, you know? This has been going on since the beginning, since Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden. Cain killed Abel, you know? I mean, really, it's insane. Since the beginning of time. And the only way to move through it and not get swept away in it is you, I, anyone that does any kind of spiritual practice has to build a system inside that is strong enough to be able to forgive this stupid world we live in for whatever it inflicts on us. I mean, it's, you know, look, I'm not a Christian. Like, who turned the other cheek? Who's going to throw the first stone? You know, I mean, these are incredibly simple sentences spoken that have come down for thousands of years, and they're very true. I mean, the Buddha, wonderful. One of his disciples got bit by a snake, and the Buddha said, well, what did he do to the snake? I mean, this is really, you know, these simple sentences, they really capture the essence of what it means to live consciously.
It's 2 o'clock.
And this has been going on since the beginning of the world. And maybe it's, God knows, God's way of teaching us how to forgive, how to transform suffering, how to become conscious human beings. And I listen, you know, I don't listen anymore. People's complaining and complaining, it gets them absolutely nowhere. Instead of using all that energy to complain, they should use it to build an inner life. Get strong enough to be able to move past all of the things they complain about. And it's the same energy. You can use it to throw your life away, or you could use it to build an extraordinary inner life. Same energy. So when people complain to me like, look, not interested, internalize your energy, grow, find a way to get stronger than this bullshit that you're complaining about. And there's a lot of it. I mean, look at this stuff going on today. It's unbelievable, you know, and it's like one thing for another, you know, and part of it is media, you know. I mean, these things happened 100 years ago, but we didn't have somebody farts in Indochina and it becomes headlines in America. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It gives people something else to complain about. Stock market goes up, everybody's happy. Stock market goes down, everybody's miserable. I made $100,000 3 weeks ago, and now I lost 40, and I'm unhappy. Still $60,000 ahead. I mean, this, you know, this is how stupid the world is, you know? Anyway, it's all metaphors that I'm using, but I think they really hit the nail on the head, how essential it is to use energy, you know, in a way where it builds us instead of a way where we spend our lives complaining about everything. It's the same energy.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Larry. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, well, there'll be a meditation on, today's Tuesday, on Thursday. Hard for me to keep up with the days. On Thursday, and again, God bless you all. Thank you for the questions, for being here, for really making me work very deep on myself to grow. And God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.